Today's Toy Spot. Yes, we are finally having a look at the Neca Friday the 13th, Part 4, the Final Chapter, Jason Voorhees. So stoked am I to finally have in my hands the Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 4. And also, it is an ongoing reminder that Neca, now that they've acquired the Friday the 13th license, we are going to be getting, hopefully, Friday the 13th figures from across the entire franchise of the movie series. I was really excited to get Friday the 13th Part 3 Jason. I think I might have gushed a little more about the figure than what was entitled specifically to that figure. Now having a look at this one, this to me, I am so excited about getting it opened. Down below there's the poster of the Friday the 13th Final Chapter. There's Jason there as well, his mask. Flip it around. The read-up says, after his revival in a hospital morgue, the hockey-masked murderer fixes his vengeful attention on the Jarvis family and a group of carefree teenagers. Young Tommy Jarvis is an aficionado of horror films with a special talent for masks and makeup effects. Has the diabolical Jason finally met his match? Tune in the movie and find out. Obviously, the two figures that you can collect in this series, not only do we have the masked Jason undamaged version, but we also, of course, have the damaged Jason as well. So, continuing on with the tradition of doing a two-figure release, what they did with, Part 3D, we're now also getting it in the Part 4 Final Chapter Jason. So there you go. I am super excited about getting this opened up. So what I'm going to do is obviously take a break. We're going to get this opened up. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have a look at Jason. We're all going to gush, I'm sure, as fanboys. There's definitely more on the way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Let me just start by saying that I absolutely love this figure. Neca did a fantastic job. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about this figure. I guess before we actually have a look at Jason specifically, I'm just going to put him down. We'll actually have a look at the individual accessories that come with Jason, and then we'll resume where we left off. Sound good? Sound good. For starters, you get yourself a knife. Just a kitchen butcher knife, or kitchen knife. Some nice blood going on the blade there. Much more realistic blood, I would say, on this blade than what we've gotten in the past with some other weapons of destruction. We also get ourselves an unmarked, undamaged, unblooded. We also get ourselves a clean machete. Suits me just fine. Suits me just fine. In fact, I'm pretty sure, yes, the damaged version, I'm just looking over there, the damaged version of Jason does come with a bloodied machete. So if you do choose to have blood on your machete, if that is your preference, you are the type that prefers to have had Jason use this machete at some point to hack a limb, decapitate somebody, you can easily swap the blade out. I'm pretty sure it is the exact same machete. Some nice detail work on the machete. It's not just a simple silver paint. As you can see there, it's got a little bit of flex to it. Kind of looks, you can even see too that the blade looks like it's slightly lighter, indicating that it is a sharpened edge. The handle is slightly shiny. It's not a matte black, and you can see even there's the screw holes there of the handle, the rivet holes. Yeah, overall, just really, really cool. I mean, it's a machete. You're bound to get one with Jason, and I'm glad we got one here with Jason. All right, so we've already looked at the accessories. Obviously, everybody is here wanting to check out the actual Jason figure, and let me just say, yes, this figure has not disappointed one bit. One iota, this figure has not disappointed me. As fans, let me just say as fans, at least this is my opinion. I think as fans, there is always going to be several interpretations of a main villain, a main killer, a main maniac in these horror movies. You have the core character, maybe the first appearance of the character, but that may not always be your definitive look for a specific character. I think in Michael Myers, many people probably define Michael Myers. The ideal Michael Myers design is probably Halloween 1. Okay, that's perfect. There are other Halloweens. I'm using a different reference point here. Freddy's have stayed relatively similar. But I really think, and I probably speak for a lot of fans when I say, even though there has probably been cooler designs of Jason, if you close your eyes, if you have your hands up to your face and you just kind of envision the Jason Voorhees that you would see on movie posters, the Jason Voorhees you would see on old video cassette covers, merchandise, anything. Generally, I always think of Part 4 Jason. Part 4 as the definitive Jason design. I love New Blood, Part 7 Jason. I really love Part 8. There are so many elements, so many different Jasons I love out there, but if I can really pinpoint one definitive look for Jason, it is this one right here. So I would almost say by that opinion, I should say, this is actually my favorite Jason Voorhees figure ever. A bold statement spot? I don't think so. I really don't think so. It encompasses all the elements that we liked from the previous release Jason, and builds on it to give us, once again, a perfect Jason Voorhees. Now, if you are saying to yourself, well, Spot, you're being awfully good on this figure. Well, let's backtrack ourselves. Let's bring in the original Jason that would have been coming from the Part 3 release. You will see, yes, it is in fact a different Jason body mold, very different in design. The face and mask also are two different entities, if you will. And I really liked this Jason. I thought the mask seemed just a slight bit off. But you know what? Jason in Part 3 looked a little off. A little off as well, being with the shoulder pads and everything else. His mask definitely was a much different design. Very similar elements, but very different design to Part 4. By the time we got Part 4, we got a much beefier Jason. I think his mask looked a lot cooler. But you can see, yes, NECA went above and beyond, giving us two very specific, two very different designs to Jason. I think from the torso down is the exact same figure. The legs and everything else look like they are the same. But the upper torso, yes, looks very, very different indeed. Perhaps also I might say that the sleeves look like they could have been reused. The arms might have been reused. The hands, one thing that's interesting about the hands, and I wanted to zoom in and show you guys this as well. You'll notice the hand on Part 3 Jason has regular fingernails. No, not Part 4 Jason. Part 4 Jason has really, really long, gangly fingernails. A nice added touch from the original release figure. Also, his clothes are much dirtier. His pants, which started in a lighter color, now we've got a much more olive colored pant. A little more green also in the shirt as well. So there are your two comparisons. Spot won't only just stop there. Let's bring in probably a comparison that you guys wanted to see. Here is the Mezco. I'm just going to move Jason back here. If he will likely stand. Is he going to at least stand for Spot? He may not. There you go. Let's actually do the comparison between the Mezco right here and the NECA. Obviously, Mezco is a little more simplistic in design. The masks themselves, you can see, are very, very different. Some exaggerations, some artists' luxuries were done, I think, with the mask here. It's kind of an amalgamation of several different hockey masks, or really just the Part 4 hockey mask, much larger in design. Compare this over to the NECA. I know, my cat is saying, I totally agree. NECA's is a lot nicer. Yeah, again, you know, it's a newer figure, Newer figure, older figure, you know, you kind of have to be a little more generous. But obviously, Mezco's paint, they went for a little more creative interpretations of the character design and coloring used. And then you've got NECA's a little more, I know, a little more movie accurate on NECA's. So I'm just going to move him out of the way. Move part 3 out of the way. Let's have a look overall at the coloring and overall details of this figure. For starters, obviously you've got your hockey mask, the worn away triangle on the mask there. I also really love the fact that you can't see his eyes. There's nothing different really about this mask. They have not put in any elements to the face, but just I guess the fact that the mask stretches out just a little further, you get a nice pitch black eye appearance. If you kind of hold it up to certain aspects of the light, sure, you can make out the eyes, but overall, a job well done. If we can take off the mask. Now, one thing I have a little bit of a problem with is, and it's not, I don't want to say it's NECA's fault specifically, but the head sits. There's a big bulbous dome to Jason's head. Becomes a little problematic with the actual straps to the mask. When you take the mask off, you kind of have to be a little careful because as you see, it snags right there and really right around this bottom area here. Now, if you're not careful, yes, you know exactly what would happen. So you have to be a little gingerly with taking the mask off. You kind of have to rock it back and forth to get over that. See that little series of folds right there? The strap does have a problem of catching on those, that you just don't want to rip it off quickly. These straps could easily break. We take the mask off. There's the mask right there. Just fantastic work. I just think they did a fantastic job on that. Obviously the face of Jason. Very iconic to the movie. A close-up look of the face here. He looks exactly like he did in the movie. Lopsided eye, that gangly mouth, big gash in his forehead from part 3. No, part 3. I suppose by this point he hasn't taken the machete to the head yet. That comes, don't worry. That's still on your way, Jason. You can look forward to that. I will never likely display this Jason without the mask, without the hockey mask. But, I mean, I just think they did a I don't want to keep saying fantastic, but, I mean, really, the proof is in the pudding. You can see between the paint and overall sculpt on this figure that NECA definitely did a fantastic, there I go again, a fantastic job on Jason. Let's put his hockey mask back on. It's your preference, I know. It's your preference if you want to keep the hockey mask off of Jason. I might do that, I'm thinking, with the unmasked, or I might keep him unmasked for the damaged version of Jason. We'll get into that when I review that specific figure. But in the way of Jason's articulation, Jason's head is on a ball joint, so you can get lots of poses there. His shoulders are on a pin and socket joint, so they rotate all the way around. They are prone to kind of catching on the shoulder area here, which I think is something I mentioned with the other Jason from part 3 too. He does have a bend in the elbow. His arms would rotate all the way around if not for this additional piece in the sleeve. You really wouldn't. Why would you bend it all the way around anyways? It would hurt Jason immensely. His hand also rotates all the way around from what looks to be also a ball joint. His upper torso looks like it could be just a straight-on swivel. One thing I like is that the upper torso shirt piece is a rubber piece, so there's a little bit of give to it. Yeah, you can rotate the waist. And then when you get to his legs, the legs go forward, back, out. They bend at the knee. His leg would rotate all the way around too. Again, it's very similar in the upper or lower thigh area as what you have here, would kind of prevent you from doing that. And then also there is a hinge
almost, I would assume to be a ball joint in the foot as well. So yes, this is, in Spot's opinion at least, the definitive Jason Voorhees. Sometimes I get comments and people asking me my opinion, and they say, Spot, what would you consider a definitive, if I could pick up one figure, which is always the question I tend to get, if I could pick up one figure for a property, what would you suggest? Whether it be a Batman figure, what Joker would you say if you had to pick up one figure? If anybody was asked me, Spot, what would be the one figure you would pick up of Jason Voorhees? And we've gotten some from Movie Maniacs. Of course, you saw the ones from Mezco. We've gotten ones from, different properties as well. Really, when it boils down to it, for me at least, if you could pick one Jason, my definitive Jason would be Jason from Part 4, just as the iconic, classic design of Jason Voorhees. And then of Part 4, I definitely think the definitive Jason, in my opinion, is this figure right here. Now, after all that, what would you think Spot would give this figure? A 6? Maybe a little higher. A 7? Maybe a little bit higher. Yes, Spot is going to give Friday 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, Jason Voorhees, a perfect 10. A perfect 10. I think perhaps Spot had just overgushed on the fact that we had gotten a NECA Friday 13th figure that was as articulated as we got with Part 3, that perhaps I might have thought this figure was a fantastic, better than ever figure that you should pick up. And I might have overrated this one a little bit more, but really now that I'm looking at it, and I can look at this with clear eyes, I'm definitely saying that this is my favorite Jason Voorhees figure. NECA did an incredible job. If you could find one figure to pick up this year, look no further, my friends, than this figure here. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at NECA's Friday 13th Part 4, the final chapter, Jason Voorhees. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, also, Spot's going to be reviewing the battle damage version of this guy, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys next time.